$322,000 this year. He really was a victim of circumstance in the Messenger, so basically I see a different race here today from this horse.
He hasn't drawn that well all season.
No.
Really post 4, a good draw for him with the couple of horses inside, not real players.
And here is Rare Jewel with Cool Hands Lou Collette looking for a half dozen victories on the card. Rich Banka trains this one, and since he's been up in Ontario, they've just been rolling him, and he's been very strong, winning 3 in a row, albeit not against this level of competition.
Yeah, only 1 for 23 lifetime going into those last 3 starts, but 3 absolute cruise control wins his last 3.
This one is the question mark to me. You know, he's only faced overnights. He really hasn't faced this company since he's been sharp. So now we need to see if he's going to take that step up. And I just have a funny feeling he's going to.
And if this one races well, how well is Blistow going to race from the same barn?
Exactly.
Brett Pelling going with Brian Sears on Western Terror. We talked to John Campbell earlier in the week and asked John about Western Terror, who he drove to that dead heat victory in the Kane Pace. And he said, well, I was committed to Metropolitan for Chris Ryder, and so Brian Sears drove Western Terror in the Messenger, and as it should be, he retains the drive in the Little Brown Jug, so Pelling won't have to scramble around for a driver. He's got Sears committed to this Western Hanover 3-year-old for the Perfect World Enterprises.
I think they certainly look ahead, because when it comes down to the second heat, who makes what, and you know, you really don't want a conflict. You want a driver that knows the horse going into the second heat. So I'm assuming that's why that all came about, and Brian probably said he would stick with Western Terror.
And speaking of drivers, got to give a call out to Yannick Gingras, driving number 5 Western Prince, certainly very successful in his first full season at the Meadowlands. Been doing well at the Red Mile in Lexington, Kentucky since the Big M closed. Pelling had enough confidence in him to put him on times that are changing in the Meadowlands pace. If not for a tough post and a traffic troubled trip, he might have won. He wound up finishing second. He's got the rider stroker in here, Western Prince, who Chris was very high on in Winter Series action this winter, but he really didn't develop into that top-level horse that they expected.
I think Yannick is a very talented driver. He gets a horse to go fast, and, you know, that to me is one of the qualities of a top driver, getting speed from a horse. He originally, when he first came over to the Meadowlands, I noticed he was overly aggressive, but then again, he was driving Mark Ford's horses at the time, and they were pretty much you know, favored to win, and that helped him out also. But now I notice that he's settled in a little bit, settled down a little bit, and I happen to like him.
Any surprises on the odds board right now for you, Dave?
Yeah, the fact that Captain Silver Hills is only 13-1. I know Mike Verchance is getting the drive, and that's going to help. He's coming in off a break, and, you know, no offense, but he won the Indiana Sire Stakes final. That's not exactly a Little Brown Jug. To me, he should be longer. And Rare Jewel is just getting absolutely pounded down to 2-1 from a 6-1 morning line. But the way Luke's been driving, you can know where that money's coming from.
Well, we will find out who our first 3 returnees are for the second heat. The wings of the starting gate open. We will be underway shortly with the first division of the Little Brown Jug.
The starter has called the horses to the gate. First of 3 divisions. From the inside out, Finnegan Hanover, Captain Silver Heels, Maltese Artist, Western Terror, Western Prince, Rare Jewel, Driven to Win, Up Front Brad on the outside. They're all in behind the Greg Coon starting gate on the upper turn. The gate swings into the stretch, and here they come for the first division of the Little Brown Jug. They're off and pacing. Maltese Artist and John Campbell going right out for the lead. Finnegan Hanover on the inside second. Taking a seat third. Captain Silver Heels up on the outside. Into the turn. Rare Jewel as they race to the backside. Racing fifth, that's Western Terror. Down the backside, sixth, Western Prince. Racing seventh, Driven to Win, and treading the field up front, Brad, as they race over to the first quarter mark. 26-1. Into the turn they go. On top of the field, it's Maltese Artist up on the outside. Now second and going on as they race around the turn. Rear Jewel racing third. Finnegan Hanover. Captain Silver Heels on the outside. Western Terror picks up some cover. Into the lane first time. Coming to the halfway point. Western Prince to the outside. Driven to Win. Up front, Brad. Up the inside. Halfway home. 54-1. Second quarter and 28. Maltese Artist with the lead. On the outside as they race around the turn. Rear Jewel going to the backside. Racing third. Finnegan Hanover. Moving on the outside. Captain Silver Heels fourth. Western Prince fifth. Western Terror about to tip 3 wide for Brian Sears, followed by David Miller and Driven to Win. Up front, Brad the trailer. They're tightly bunched. 3 quarters. 1, 22-3. 28-2. Third quarter. Maltese Artist and John Campbell with the lead. Closing on the outside, Brian Sears and Western Terror closing with every stride. Driven to Win on the outside along with up front Brad and Finnegan Hanover. Down the stretch they come. Brian Sears, Western Terror on the outside. 1:51, a world record. First heat.
What a way to start it, Sam. World record first heat, and it looked like 4.378 across the wire, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, indeed. And Western Terror and Brian Sears ended up probably with more cover than he wanted. Third over there with Captain Silverheels sitting second over, and Rare Jewel, who could not drop into the 2-hole, stuck there first over. Sears kicked out the earplugs midway down the backstretch before the 3 quarters and revved him up. A sustained sprint by Western Terror, just with too much power for this field. Nice race from Maltese Artist, the pacemaker, finishing second, and Joe Holloway might have what he won after all. Driven to Win finishes third, so he's got a shot for the 9-hole in the final. And up front, Brad, the 8-horse, winding up fourth. 4, 3, 7, and 8. Western Terror, the Cane Pace co-champion and the third-place finisher in the Messenger, draws first blood today for Brian Sears and Brett Pellet.
Most impressive because, as you mentioned, he was forced third over and did not have great cover in front of him when he pulled and popped the plugs, though he was loaded and had a sustained rally all the way through the wire.
We come to the top of the stretch here, and Brian Sears leaning back in that race bike, making speed with the horse, urging him on the outside. And Western Terror sprints by Maltese Artist and Driven to Win with Dave Miller. You can see him coming up on the outside into the third spot, and from the back up front, Brad on the far outside fourth. Western Terror for the Perfect World Enterprise. It's been a big day here for the Western Hanovers. He's a son of that Hanover Shoe Farm stallion, and he takes the first division of the jug.
Stands and going to the winner's circle. National season's record. 3-year-old pacing colts on a half-mile track, and a first heat world record. 1:51. Western Terror. Home of the Perfect World Enterprises, Old Westbury, New York. Brett Pelling trains. Brian Sears with his second win on today's card. 3-year-old colt Western Hanover Terror equals the lifetime mark with a mile in 1:51. Final half 56-4. The final quarter 28-2. So Western Terror, Brett Pelling, and Brian Sears win the first division of the Little Brown Jug.
Perfect World Enterprises, made up of David Brooks and his wife Terry. They're from Old Westbury, New York, and Brooks is a private investor and venture capitalist. Been racing horses for, I guess, around 20 years or so. His publicly owned company is DHB Capital Group. A lot of his horses named DHB with numbers behind them. They specialize in law enforcement and military protection armor.
Wow, don't mess with that. Prices are up. $440, $260, and $260. $340 and $3 on the place horse, the Maltese Artist, and the 7 Driven to Win, $380. Those will be the 3 that advance to the second heat, of course. The 4-3-7-8 Super, $287.60. 4-3 Perfecta in the 10th race, paid $10.40. 4-3-7 Tries, $74.